Well, one of our church members, Larry Gammons, he's one of our snowbirds. Larry just returned last week from a trip to the Holy Land. Larry went with a group from his church in Fort Lauderdale, which is where Larry lives in the winter. And I loved looking at the pictures of their trip on Facebook these past couple of weeks. They got to visit so many of the places that we read about in the Bible. So I got to see Larry there at the birthplace of Jesus, got to see the group at the Mount of the Beatitudes. They got to walk the Via Dolorosa, which is the route that Jesus walked to the cross, and they even got to be baptized in the Jordan River. Now, these sites, most of them, have been verified and authenticated by historians and archaeologists, but some of these sites have not been authenticated or verified as bona fide sites. To me, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if the site is inaccurate or if it no longer exists in its original form. I still want to go, and I still want to see these places and experience them, because I want to be able to walk the same holy ground that Jesus did. Now, I know some of you have been to the Holy Land, and you've shared with me before what a powerful and meaningful, even some of you said life-changing experiences for you. Now, the setting in today's gospel reading, the Pool of Bethesda, no longer exists in its original form. If you go to the Holy Land, you can see ruins that are said to be the site of the Pool of Bethesda, but there's no longer water flowing through it. Now, the healing water is what we sang about in our opening hymn today, and that's what the Pool of Bethesda was. It was believed to be a place where when you entered into the water, you experienced a healing. So we hear that this pool, people believe that once a day, an angel would come and would stir up the water. And the first person to enter into the water after the stirring would experience a miraculous healing. Now, this stirring up of the water, or the troubling of the water, is what we sing about in that beautiful African-American spiritual, Wade in the Water. We've sung it several times here at church. We're actually going to sing it today for our closing hymn. But when the water becomes stirred, there's this energy that when we get into the water, we experience a transformation, a healing. Now, although the Pool of Bethesda doesn't exist anymore, there are still many sacred bodies of water that people go to in order to experience healing. So there's the Ganges River in India. There's the Dead Sea. You know, people go to Israel and go to the Dead Sea and put the mud, or they take the mud home with them. It's supposed to be therapeutic. And we have right in our own country these hot springs, places where people can go and again immerse themselves in this water, in this mud, and experience the therapeutic healing that comes from it. And then, of course, there are places like Lourdes and Medjugorje, places around the world where millions of pilgrims go each and every year in order to experience some type of miraculous healing. Now, in 2016, 20 of us from Douglas UCC went to New Mexico together. And one of the places we visited is one of these miraculous healing sites. It's called Chimayo. And Chimayo is known as the Lourdes of the United States, a place where millions of people come each and every year in order to be healed. And when we got there, we saw lining the walls everywhere crutches and walkers and wheelchairs and canes that were left behind by people who had experienced miraculous healing at Chimayo. And our group got to crawl down into this little basement room underneath the chapel in Chimayo so that we could take some of the soil from beneath the chapel. This soil at Chimayo is believed to be healing. And so people take the soil and they rub it on their bodies, or sometimes they even ingest the dirt, and they have said to have experienced miraculous healing. Now, a few months after we got home from that trip, I was summoned to a hospital in Grand Rapids. One of our church members, Kevin Henry, was admitted to the hospital, and I was there with our director of music, Jeff Spangler. And we were both in the room when the doctor told Kevin that he only had a couple of months to live. I gave Kevin that dirt from Chimayo. And today, more than 2.5 years later, Kevin is cancer-free and thriving. Now, the doctors can't explain it, and I can't explain it, because miracles can't be explained. That's why they're miracles. They can only be experienced. Now, you may say, well, I want to experience a miracle. How do I experience a miracle? Do I need to go to Lourdes? Do I need to go get some of that magic dirt? Do I need to have people bring me back mud from Israel? How do I do this? Well, let's look at what Jesus said in the Gospels about miracles. As we just heard in our words of integration and guidance this morning, Jesus never took credit for any of the miracles in the Bible. Never. Not one time. Because he knew it wasn't just about him. It also involved the person seeking the miracle and the power of their belief. So for the woman who touched the hem of his garment, he said, "Daughter, your belief has made you whole." He doesn't say, "Daughter, I have made you whole." He says, your belief has made you whole. To the blind man, Jesus said, "Go, your faith has made you well." Not "Go, I made you well." Go, your faith has made you well. To the centurion who was seeking healing for his daughter, Jesus said, "It is done to you according to your belief." He didn't say to the centurion, "It is done to you according to my power." It is done to you according to your belief. And one of my favorite lines of Jesus, favorite all-time Jesus lines of all time, is he said, "It is done to you as you believe." It is done to you as you believe. Now, medical science in recent years has proven this. Countless studies have been done, medical studies, that demonstrate the power of belief, the power of positive thinking over our physical healing. Many of you are familiar with the term the placebo effect. A placebo is a fake pill. It's not real, it's a sugar pill. Doctors give this pill to sick patients, and the patient believes. They don't know it's fake. They believe it's real medicine that's going to heal them. And in most cases, the people receiving the placebo are healed, even though the pill is just sugar. Because it's not about the pill, and it's not about the dirt, and it's not about the mud and the water. It's about the power of the belief. Now, I don't want anyone to think that we are dismissing Western medicine, because we're not. We are so grateful and blessed to be living at a time of so many medical breakthroughs, of so many life-saving discoveries. But those things came about because those doctors and scientists believed. They weren't limited in their thinking, saying, "Well, we'll never solve this." They believed in the possible. And that is what I believe Jesus was trying to get at here. Now, the man at the pool in Bethesda, he has limited beliefs. He's had them for 38 years. For 38 years, he's been going to this pool. He believes that he's crippled and that he needs to be the first person in this water after the angel stirs up the water in order to be healed. And he can never get to the pool. And he's had this limited belief for 38 years. So Jesus says to him, do you want to be healed? Because, maybe he doesn't. A lot of people want to just stay in victim consciousness. They don't want to be healed. Jesus asked him, do you want to be healed? Meaning you have to take part in your healing. You've got to take action. Stop coming up with excuses. The man says, well, I can't get down there. No one will carry me down there. He's been saying it for 38 years. Okay? But once he agrees, once he says, yes, I want to receive, ask, believe, receive, he's healed without ever going in the water. He's healed. Now, if you look at Jesus' other miracles, the ones that don't have to do with physical healing, they all have to do with limited thinking. So people come to him with limited thinking. They say, we're out of wine. Or they say, we don't have enough bread and fish to feed everybody. Or they say, our boat, it's sinking. They are limited. Jesus' thinking wasn't limited. He saw the possible. So he was able to turn water into wine. He was able to multiply the bread and the fish. And he was able to calm the seas and walk on the water. And he said, all of the things that I have done, you can do. And then he added, these things and greater you can do. But most of us don't believe that. We don't believe that we have this healing power, this power to work miracles, to manifest miracles and healing. Jesus wanted the people whom he was teaching, the disciples, to know that miracles are possible when we believe. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Pastor Sal, my grandmother was a woman of great belief. She had the strongest faith of anyone I knew. My grandmother was a positive thinker. She actually even went to Lourdes. And she wasn't cured. She still died of cancer. So explain that. Well, my answer to that is this. Your grandmother may not have been cured physically, but that does not mean that healing did not take place. Because there is a difference between curing and healing. When I pray for someone who is experiencing a physical dis-ease, I do not pray for a cure of their physical body. I pray for healing. Because healing manifests in so many ways, as do miracles. Sometimes it's physical or material, but other times healing is spiritual. It's a spiritual healing. It's beyond our understanding. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, a man who believed in science, but also believed in spirituality, said, there are only two ways of living your life. One, as if nothing is a miracle, and the other, as if everything is a miracle. So that's my question for you this morning. How do you live your life? Are you a person who lives as if nothing's a miracle? Or are you a person who believes that everything is a miracle? Because once you start to believe, really believe, you will start to manifest miracles. You'll start seeing them all around you, and you'll come to understand that you are the miracle, and that you can do all things through the power of the Christ that is within you. Now, our Friendship Hall was renovated a couple of years ago, and it was renovated in memory of Joe Pearson. And if you go on the Friendship Hall, you'll see a plaque with his name on it. And underneath his name is a quote that Joe would often say to us as he was saying goodbye. And he would say, "Go and make that miracle happen." Go and make that miracle happen. I love that. So that's what I'm calling us to do as we come to the last few weeks of the Easter season, is I want us to go forth and to believe in the power of miracles. Let us go forth and be people who see the possible. Let us go forth and make those miracles happen. Namaste.